Did you know that discovering your values can help you with both your feeling of self-worth and your feeling of value and your feeling of self-esteem? Hi, this is Christi. I am here with Christie's Clarity every Friday at 10:10, and this Friday I actually get to be living one of my core values, which is the importance of family. And so I am actually, it's a little bit of a vacation too. I wish that I could be out in front of the recording for you. So today what I'm talking about is that is that, and hopefully my connection stays connected here, is today chapter 5 of the book that we're working from, my book Beyond the Box, is about value. Now, if you recall, if you've been following me, my work is based on the elements of art to explain the elements of life principles, universal laws. And so now we're talking about, right now we're talking about value. And value is the amount of light and darkness. And that's the definition in art. And in our lives as a core value, it is what we bring light to and how we choose to live our lives. And so if we can get clarity on what our core values are, it really does help us bring greater clarity. Now, in the chat, I'm going to be putting a link to a core values list. And you can also go online and find a lot of different core values evaluations and things like that. And why is it important to know? Well, let me tell you a story that I was told to clarify this. Well, actually, I'll tell you my own story. So, when my son was in junior high, I was teaching high school. Just can't really handle it. And I never wanted to be that kind of mom. I always wanted to be the mom that said, yes, honey, let's have your friends over, or let's go do this, or whatever it was. So I was very sad about my response, and I thought about it, and it wasn't just a guilt trip. He was right. I was expending most of my energy in this work that I was doing because it was very intense work. Now, did I need the job? Did I need the work? It was a good enhancement to our family, but it wasn't necessary or required. What was necessary and required was putting my family first. That's my number one core value. My shortly there behind it is to always act with kindness, right? And so I thought about it and I said, he's right. And guess what I did? I went into the administrator, it was a small school, and I went into the administrator and I said, we need to find another art teacher because I'm quitting at the middle of the year here at the ending semester, end of this semester, because I need to go be with my son. And I made sure that the kids were taken care of, that they had, in fact, she was an amazing teacher that came in behind me, really made a lot of difference in a lot of these kids' lives, just like I felt I did. But, maybe some other kids she reached. So there was all good in it. But I had to follow my core value. That is what is important to me. Now, I will include this list of core values, or like I said, you can go on the internet and look for processes on discovering your core values. But you want to live from your core values, because what happens when you measure your core values like I did, oh, my family is most important. I made a decision. My son's adopted from Guatemala. We made a big effort. We made a huge choice to have our son and to raise him in a really good and powerful way. So that came first, right? And so then I knew when I looked at my core values that I couldn't keep working in that job, that I needed to spend the next, and I did actually the next 5 years. And that's actually when I started becoming more of a transformational life mastery consultant, because I could do that during the school day while he was gone. And then, or I could take the time off, and I went to all of his field trips. Even in middle school, I took the time off and went to his field trips. I was the volunteer mom, everything, because raising him was number one most important to me. And now he's just an amazing young man. I mean, we have our, young adult challenges, but um, I am so very, very proud of who he is and who he has become. And a lot of that is on him, of course, and because we provided an environment for him to learn and grow in that way. So, learning your core values is number one top priority. Okay, and in the book, the fifth chapter, last week we talked about the 5 questions that you can ask to see if your vision is worthy of you, not if you are worthy of your vision, because it's your vision and you're going to put time and energy into it, and so you have to have that passion enough, and in order to put your time into that. And next week we're going to talk about my favorite universal law. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what it is. You can look in the book if you have the book, and you can always buy the book at Beyond the Box with Christi Karate on Amazon. Or if you want a signed copy from me, you can go beyondtheboxbook.com, and I will sign a copy and send it off to you. So remember, first, become aware. We must become aware of your core values. Secondly, are, and be sure, and thirdly is measure them against your current life and what you're living. Are you following your core values? Some of my other core values are like joy and play, and when life gets too heavy, I can come back to, wait a minute. And that's one of the things that draws people to me, is that my love of life, my joy, and understanding of the universal principles, so therefore I can live a joyful life. This is Christi Karate with Christi's Clarity. See you next Friday at 10:10 with one of my very favorite universal laws. Have a great week.